Before we begin, ask yourself this: what would happen if aliens who thought they were the masters of the galaxy mocked everything we are, and then met the one beast that even humans fear? If you want more stories where Earth gets the respect it deserves, smash that like button, drop your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for the next chapter in humanity's rise. Now, on to the story. The air aboard the Zorketh diplomatic cruiser was cold, antiseptic, and steeped in arrogance. It was designed that way, from the needle-straight halls to the echoing chambers, each tailored to remind visitors that they were not at home, they were tolerated. Earth's delegation walked these corridors with the same mixture of caution and defiance that had kept them alive on their own planet for millennia. Captain Darius Holt strode with measured purpose, his dark uniform a stark contrast to the silver-toned walls. The faint hum of alien systems pulsed beneath his boots, like the heartbeat of a predator. He didn't like this place. Too quiet. Too clean. Like a cage built by something that had never known dirt or blood. Behind him, Dr. Raj Patel adjusted his glasses, eyes wide with curiosity and just a touch of righteous indignation. Where Darius saw threat, Raj saw opportunity, or at least he used to. Now his fingers twitched with unease, glancing at the high-set surveillance nodes embedded in the walls like watching eyes. The Zorketh never blinked. Ahead of them, a set of golden doors split open with a hiss, revealing a circular chamber bathed in light. At its center stood Ambassador Kel Tharn, 3 meters tall, draped in ceremonial bone armor polished to a mirror sheen. His pale lavender skin shimmered subtly under the lights, but it was the eyes, flat, gleaming obsidian, that made most beings hesitate. "You've brought us mammals," Kel Tharn intoned, voice like gravel sliding down obsidian. Again. Darius remained silent, jaw tight. Raj cleared his throat. "These mammals represent thousands of years of perfected evolution. Each one is a keystone species on our world. Predators. Survivors." Kel Tharn waved a clawed hand and holographic projections bloomed around them: bears, wolves, leopards, crocodiles. Images flickered past like museum pieces, accompanied by data readouts and life cycle metrics. With every new projection, Kel Tharn's sneer deepened. "Claws. Roars. Also, quaint." He stepped around the image of a lion mid-roar. "You think these crude biological tools impress us? The children of the void? Our war beasts wield psychic blades. Our scouts communicate through quantum links. Your panther is adorable. You mock what you don't understand," Raj said carefully, voice tight. "Your beasts are bred in tanks. Ours were born in fire. They lived through ice ages. Survived extinction. Fought their way to the top without genetic engineering or psychic implants." Kel Tharn turned, amusement dancing on the edges of his fanged mouth. "Then prove it." Darius shifted, his muscles coiling under the fabric of his jacket. "What are you proposing?" "A test," Kel Tharn said. "You claim your Earthborn predators are unmatched. Let us witness it. Choose your most dangerous creature. We will match it against a juvenile from our Dominion's warrior stock. A fair arena. Controlled environment. No interference." "Like a gladiator pit," Raj said aghast. Kel Tharn nodded. "A demonstration. Of truth." "And if we refuse?" Darius asked, already knowing the answer. Kel Tharn didn't smile. He didn't need to. "Then Earth's status in the Galactic Preservation Accord is downgraded. Your planet's fauna removed from consideration in the Council's biological registry. A footnote in our databases. Forgotten." Raj's eyes flared with fury. "So you'll erase us from history unless we entertain you?" "It is not entertainment," Kel Tharn said coolly. "It is science." The room fell into a weighted silence. In that silence, Darius made his decision. "Fine," he said. "You want to see what Earth can do? You'll get your demonstration." Kel Tharn tilted his head, intrigued. "Which creature will you choose? The bear? The lion? One of those clever apes?" Raj didn't hesitate. He stepped forward, his voice a calm promise. "The tiger." The alien paused, visibly uncertain for the first time. "Tiger. I've not heard of this species." "You will," Darius said. The days that followed were a blur of permissions, protocols, and bureaucratic games. Darius fought for clearance from both Earth's representatives and the Zorketha's own bioethics council. They wanted blueprints. DNA profiles. He gave them what was required, but nothing more. Raj, meanwhile, oversaw the transfer personally. The tiger chosen for the demonstration was a male, 6 years old, born in captivity but raised with simulated wild environments. Powerful. Silent. Unpredictable. When the transport shuttle docked at the Zorketh cruiser's biodome wing, the atmosphere shifted. Every technician, every guard, every alien officer gave the reinforced containment pod a wide berth. It wasn't fear, yet. It was confusion. Curiosity. They expected noise. Roars. Drama. But the tiger made none. Inside the pod, it sat like a statue, muscle coiled beneath patterned fur, golden eyes half-lidded and unreadable. Raj stood beside the pod, hand pressed against the glass. "They don't know," he whispered. "They have no idea what they've invited in." Darius joined him, arms folded. "They're going to find out." Later that evening, in a conference chamber lined with observers from a dozen species, Keltharn gave his official proclamation. Tomorrow, in the observation arena, Earth's apex predator will face a Zorketh juvenile warbeast in a neutral environment. Both sides will enter. Only one will leave. This is not war. This is demonstration. Knowledge through combat. Cheers erupted from some corners. Others sat in grim silence. Darius leaned in toward Raj. "Do you think we're doing the right thing?" Raj looked toward the giant screen displaying the alien warbeast selected for the match. Even as a juvenile, it was massive, six-legged, plated, with eyes that glowed faintly and a maw lined with serrated teeth. It could crush boulders. It could tear steel. But it had never met a tiger. "I don't know," Raj said honestly. "But I know if we back down now they'll think we're weak. And the tiger doesn't know what politics are. It only knows the hunt." The next morning, the entire biodome was converted into a simulated wild zone, dense with artificial vegetation, rocky formations, thermal vents. One side mimicked an alien mountain biome. The other had been programmed with Earth's data: lush greenery, jungle humidity, filtered sunlight that danced like fire through leaves. Darius and Raj stood behind armored glass in the control room, watching as the biodome sealed. The announcer's voice rang out over the intercoms in a dozen tongues. "Begin." On the alien side, the warbeast stormed in, muscles rippling, mouth foaming with anticipation. It roared, a sound like breaking stone. On Earth's side, the tiger entered without a sound. And vanished. Alien murmurs began immediately. Where did it go? Did it retreat? Is this a malfunction? But Raj only smiled, his breath fogging the glass. Darius narrowed his eyes, scanning the foliage, his heartbeat syncing with something older than language, older than civilization. Somewhere in that simulated jungle, a tiger moved like a whisper between trees. Waiting. Watching. Preparing. Because Earth didn't raise monsters. Earth raised hunters. And now the hunt had begun. The arena shimmered beneath artificial sunlight as atmospheric generators mimicked a balmy jungle morning. The biodome was silent except for the gentle whir of surveillance drones hanging above the trees like mechanical vultures. Alien spectators filled the tiered amphitheater encircling the vast arena, their body temperatures, colors, and movement rhythms betraying a single shared sentiment: anticipation. The kind that bloomed before slaughter. On the craggy side of the dome, the Zorketh warbeast prowled. It was massive, its hide ridged with natural armor that flexed as it moved, absorbing the filtered light in strange patterns. Its third eye glowed a muted indigo, scanning for signs of motion or chemical changes in the air. With 6 legs and a tail like a wrecking mace, the juvenile warbeast looked like a walking siege weapon, bored and eager to crush something soft. Across the artificial divide, where ferns dripped condensation and vines curled around heat-simulated tree trunks, there was only stillness. No sound. No birds. No movement. Just the deep green hush of a constructed Earth jungle. The tiger had not been seen since entering the biodome. "Is the Earth beast even present?" A Zenthari official barked in a harsh, clicking dialect. Keltharn's voice carried over the public comms, casual and smug. "It is. It must be hiding. Fitting." In the control deck behind one-way observation glass, Darius Holt remained stone-faced, arms folded, his gaze locked on the jungle below. Raj stood beside him, eyes scanning the monitors, fingers twitching near the sound dial. "It's doing exactly what it's supposed to," Raj said, voice low. "You don't find a tiger. It finds you." Darius didn't respond. His mind was tuned to the terrain, mapping angles, shadows, and blind spots. He wasn't watching the warbeast. He was listening for silence that moved. The Zorketh juvenile snorted, the membranes on its back flaring outward to absorb more heat. It stepped closer to the tree line, nostrils wide, jaw grinding as it emitted a low-frequency hum intended to disrupt nervous systems. On another world, that might have sent prey scattering in terror. But here, nothing moved. The creature advanced, shoulders rolling like tide-bound boulders, eyes narrowing. It stomped across the boundary line and into the false jungle. It was careful now, not out of fear but contempt. It believed it was being toyed with. Then something sliced through the air. A flash. A streak of motion so fast it seemed like a glitch in the visual feed. Blood burst from the creature's shoulder. The warbeast howled, reeling back, its armored plates hissing as adrenaline surged. The wound wasn't deep, but it wasn't superficial either. It had never been wounded before. Not by training drones. Not in simulations. The amphitheater went deathly quiet. Darius leaned forward, face unreadable. Raj exhaled slowly. "Hello, beautiful." The warbeast spun in place, senses flaring, its psychic reach casting out like sonar. For a moment it detected nothing. Then it saw a flash of orange between two trees. It lunged. But by the time it struck the space where the tiger had been, there was only empty air and falling leaves. The tiger was already behind it. Another swipe. This time the back leg. Claws raked through soft flesh beneath the armor. More blood. The warbeast bellowed and swung its tail wildly, smashing a small tree in half. The tiger didn't roar. It didn't gloat. It disappeared again. Alien dignitaries murmured, confusion creeping into their voices. This wasn't a duel. This was a dismantling. Keltharn's posture stiffened slightly. His smile faltered. In the observation deck, Darius's knuckles whitened around the railing. It's reading its opponent. Probing weak points. Raj nodded. It's not just attacking. It's hunting. The Zorketh doesn't know it's already prey. The warbeast's pacing grew erratic. Blood dotted the grass beneath its feet. Its third eye pulsed as it tried to track movements outside normal vision. But the tiger stayed below the spectrum, heat cloaked by shade, movement reduced to silence. Years in simulated wild taught it more than attack. It taught patience, stealth, timing. Another flash. This time, a rake across the warbeast's neck joint. Not deep but strategic. The creature shrieked, spinning, slamming its shoulder into a tree that splintered on impact. The tiger ghosted away, unseen, unheard. It was playing with its food now. Spectators were no longer laughing. Some leaned forward in shock. Others whispered in private channels. The betting boards glitched as percentages reversed. In the biodome, the warbeast stopped moving. Its sides heaved. Not from exhaustion, yet, but from frustration. It had never been stalked before. It was bred to chase, not to be chased. It pawed the ground and growled low, trying to bait its enemy out. Silence. Then rustling in the canopy. The creature looked up, too late. From above, the tiger dropped like a stone, all claws and fury, landing on the beast's back with the force of a falling meteor. Its claws dug in, its jaws clamped onto exposed tissue between the plates at the base of the skull. The warbeast screamed, stumbling, thrashing, trying to dislodge the predator on its back. The amphitheater exploded in chaos. The tiger held. It rode the beast like a nightmare stitched from muscle and shadow, slashing, biting, ripping. The warbeast spun into a boulder and collapsed to one knee, howling. The tiger leapt off not because it was finished, but because it wasn't. Darius finally spoke. "They're going to shut it down." Raj's expression was grim. "They'll try." The warbeast rose again, blood dripping from multiple gashes, one eye gone cloudy. Its breath rasped in short bursts. But there was no surrender in it. Zorketh creatures didn't flee. They fought until dead. Or until something worse happened. Another blur. Another strike. The tiger tore across its flank and vanished before the warbeast could counter. "Is it learning?" Raj murmured. "No. Not learning. This is instinct. Evolution. Every predator Earth has ever known, distilled into one animal." The warbeast screamed again, rage overcoming strategy. It charged into the trees, crashing through brush, snapping branches, roaring until its voice broke. It no longer cared about survival. It wanted blood. And that, more than anything, sealed its fate. Because the tiger wasn't running. It was waiting. When the creature broke through a thicket, blinded by rage, it didn't see the slope. It didn't see the jagged rock outcrop the tiger had chosen. It didn't see the body poised like a statue above it, perfectly still until the final moment. The tiger lunged from the ledge, every muscle aligned, every calculation precise. It landed with claws extended, straight into the warbeast's throat. This time there was no escape. The weight, the momentum, the bite, it all combined into one devastating conclusion. The creature staggered, gurgled, and collapsed beneath the tiger's full weight. Its tail spasmed, then stopped. The dome went silent. No movement. No growl. Just the sound of alien hearts stuttering in stunned silence. The The tiger stood atop the body, breathing slow and steady. It looked toward the glass, locking eyes with the observers, and emitted a low, guttural sound. Not a roar. A warning. Then it turned and melted back into the jungle. In the control room no one spoke. Darius exhaled like he'd been holding his breath for hours. Raj finally smiled. Now they understand. Behind them the arena lights dimmed. But the fire had only just been lit. The silence following the tiger's victory did not fade with time. It deepened. Alien delegates filed out of the amphitheater in uneasy clusters, speaking in hushed tones, avoiding eye contact with the Earth delegation. The Zorketh officials, usually the loudest in any room, moved like statues through corridors suddenly too narrow for their pride. Ambassador Kel Tharn stood alone beside the shattered remains of a ceremonial column, its cracked surface a mirror of his composure. He watched the biodome's after-action footage looping on a central screen. The final moment, the leap, the impact, the kill, repeated every 45 seconds. Each time the tiger disappeared back into the brush, it left a wound deeper than mere defeat. It was a fluke, he muttered, not to anyone in particular. A statistical anomaly. Behind him, Darius Holt stepped into the room, his presence unannounced but undeniable. His boots echoed on the marble-like flooring. Kel Tharn didn't turn around. "You're wrong," Darius said flatly. "What you saw wasn't chance. It was nature distilled into perfection. You challenged the wild and forgot it doesn't follow your rules." Kel Tharn exhaled through his nose, a sound like steam venting from deep rock. "Your creature won a staged match. The Dominion will not be reshaped by one overgrown feline." "It's not just the tiger," Darius replied. "It's what it represents. You asked us to show you Earth's apex. We did. And now the rest of the galaxy's watching." That last part was already proving true. Across the ship's diplomatic channels, the footage had gone viral. Species who once ignored Earth now studied its apex predator with reverence and caution. Galactic military advisors replayed the video in slow motion, analyzing angles, movement patterns, biomechanics. The tiger had become a myth overnight. A new benchmark. A reason to re-evaluate Earth not as a novelty, but as a threat. Darius left Kel Tharn to his brooding silence and returned to the habitat wing. Inside, Raj sat cross-legged near the reinforced viewing glass, watching the tiger sleep. It lay curled in the shade of a replicated banyan tree, breathing slow and deep. There was no sign of bloodlust. No anticipation of glory. Just rest. As if the battle had been routine. A daily rhythm. Hunt. Go. Vanish. "They're terrified," Raj said without turning. "Most of them don't understand how something like that can exist without augmentation. No cybernetics. No neural links. Just muscle, instinct, and thousands of years of predatory refinement. They think we hid it from them," Darius said, leaning against the wall. "Like it was some kind of secret weapon." "It is," Raj said, finally glancing up. "A natural one." There was a long pause before Raj continued. "I didn't want this to be a fight. I wanted respect. Recognition of our planet's value. Our ecology. But now it's spiraling. There's already talk of military applications. Genetic replication. Cloning. They're going to want it," Darius said. "They can't have it." For a moment the two men said nothing. Beyond the glass, the tiger yawned, showing teeth like polished ivory blades. "Do you think we did the right thing?" Raj asked quietly. Darius didn't answer immediately. He watched the tiger breathe, watched its ribcage rise and fall like tides pulled by ancient moons. "It's not about right or wrong. It's about showing them what Earth really is. They laughed at us. Mocked our world. Our life forms. But now they've seen it. And they can't unsee it." Elsewhere on the cruiser, a private summit had been hastily assembled. Delegates from 15 different species gathered around a crystalline table, murmuring in untranslated dialects. The Zorketh delegation sat stiffly, their pride barely concealing the storm of humiliation boiling beneath their skin. A hologram of the tiger loomed over them all, suspended mid-leap, its muscles frozen in perfect form. "Earth's predator demonstrates traits our synthetic hunters lack," said a gray-skinned Remery tactician. "Unmatched stealth. Reflex speed beyond measurable thresholds. Tactical intelligence not tied to swarm logic or hive command. It adapts in real time." "You suggest we import them?" asked a tall diplomat, mandibles clicking. "No," said a Valek war minister. "You misunderstand. We do not want the creature. We want the code." A brief, chilling silence settled over the table. "You want to clone it," Kel Tharn said, disgust barely hidden. "Turn it into a tool. We want to understand it, the Remory corrected. Imagine our scouts with that kind of autonomy. Imagine our elite troops trained in the same methods. Kel Tharn slammed a fist against the table, fracturing the light projection. It is a beast. Wild. Untamed. It killed one of our own. And it did so without assistance, technology, or command, said the Valek. That's exactly why it matters. Word of Earth's demonstration reached farther than even the diplomats had predicted. Communications poured in from fringe outposts, remote colonies, even silent observers from species that rarely interacted with the Council. Some offered praise. Others issued veiled threats. And a few expressed interest in trade. Earth's stock had risen. Inside the Earth delegation's quarters, Darius reviewed the messages flooding in. He ignored most. They all said the same thing in different languages: awe, fear, respect. But one message caught his eye, marked anonymous, encrypted, untraceable. It contained only a single line. We didn't know you had monsters. Darius stared at the screen long after the message faded. Later that night, Raj stood alone beside the biodome, watching the tiger pace silently through the underbrush. No sounds. No need for them. The tiger didn't care about diplomacy or reputation. It wasn't here for revenge or validation. It simply was. Kel Tharn appeared behind him, slow and deliberate. You've made your point, he said. Raj didn't respond. I came here to belittle your world, the ambassador continued. To prove your beasts were irrelevant. I succeeded, until today. Still Raj said nothing. I am bound to protocol. I must file a report. My report will state that Earth's apex predator demonstrates superior adaptive aggression, psychological disruption, and asymmetric lethality. Congratulations. Raj finally turned. Is that an apology? No, Kel Tharn said. It's a warning. To whom? To everyone. The ambassador walked away. Back in the observation deck, Darius stared at the stars through reinforced glass. His reflection met his eyes, tired, unreadable, resolute. Now they know, he whispered. Behind him the tiger stopped pacing. It stared directly at the glass as if hearing him through layers of steel and silence. The line between man and monster had always been thin. Now, across the galaxy, it had vanished entirely. The council chamber thrummed with tension as representatives from 37 species filled the oval amphitheater. The air was thick with unspoken dread, the kind that lingers when order begins to tilt toward uncertainty. At the far end, draped in the sharp banners of the Zorketh Dominion, Ambassador Kel Tharn stood motionless, his violet skin drained of its usual glow. The holographic image of the tiger frozen mid-leap loomed above the central dais, casting flickering shadows over a gathering built to impose power. And yet now even power looked shaken. Captain Darius Holt sat alone at the Earth delegation's table, his back straight, hands clasped, unreadable behind sharp features. He had said little since the match concluded, and that silence had only deepened the growing ripple of discomfort among the attendees. Where most envoys basked in political momentum, Darius remained still, letting fear do what words could not. Dr. Raj Patel entered moments later, less composed. His expression betrayed a fatigue born not from the fight, but from what followed. The data requests, the genetic access appeals, the unethical proposals wrapped in diplomatic language. He had spent the last 3 days denying a parade of galactic superpowers from turning Earth's apex predator into a blueprint for engineered warfare. The presiding adjudicator, a translucent, jelly-veined being called Verlahan, signaled for silence. Earth has demonstrated that its apex predator exhibits superior capabilities. This council recognizes the tiger as a unique species of high biological value. We also acknowledge the implications such a species poses in potential conflict scenarios. Implications, Raj muttered. That's one way to say fear. Verlahan continued. Ambassador Kel Tharn has challenged this council's interpretation. He proposes that the demonstration was anomalous and not representative of Earth's overall threat profile. Darius stood before Raj could rise. He moved with the precision of someone who had spent his life understanding when to speak and when to act. Respectfully, he said, his voice calm, the only anomaly is that the Zorketh thought the tiger was the worst we had. A murmur rolled across the delegates. Some smiled. Others stiffened. Kel Tharn finally stepped forward, his voice cutting and hard. Then prove it. You claimed your beasts are forged by survival. That your world is a crucible. Let us see if that same fury lives in your people. Darius held the ambassador's gaze. You want a human. I want a warrior, Kel Tharn said. No animal. No fur and fong. Just one of you. Against one of ours. Unarmed. Unequaled. Show us if the predator lives inside the man. Raj turned sharply. Darius? But Darius was already nodding. Accepted. Within hours, the arena was reconfigured. The biodome replaced with an adaptive terrain, rock, mist, crumbling structures, a twilight sky above simulated by atmospheric filters. A dead city. No trees to hide behind. No shadows to stalk from. This wasn't a jungle. It was ruin. Scorched earth. A war zone. The Zorketh warrior was nearly twice Darius's mass. Encased in a thin exoskin laced with muscle-reactive polymers, it bristled with primal aggression. It carried no weapon because it didn't need one. It was a weapon. Bred for conquest. Reared on fear. Fed with obedience and made to kill without hesitation. Darius stepped into the arena wearing only reinforced combat fatigues, no armor, no assistance. He looked smaller by comparison. Slower. Weaker. The spectators murmured, this would be quick. The tiger had shocked them, but this was different. This was man versus engineered god. And Earth's representative had walked in like he was tired of living. Raj watched from the upper tier, heart hammering, fists clenched. They don't know, he whispered. They still don't know. The buzzer sounded. The match began. The Zorketh warrior lunged. Darius didn't retreat. He shifted. The charge missed by a hair. One breath. One step. The warrior twisted midair and struck with an overhead blow that cratered the concrete where Darius had been a second earlier. The human moved like a shadow bent by wind, fluid, precise, instinctive. But he wasn't faster. Not stronger. He was smarter. Every movement, every dodge, every glance was information. Calculations made in real time, a lifetime of battlefield logic condensed into seconds. He let the Zorketh push harder, get cockier, waste energy. He let the beast believe it had him cornered. Then he struck. One blow, knuckles to throat. The warrior reeled, more surprised than hurt. Darius didn't wait. He was already inside the guard, hammering elbows into joints, dislocating an arm before slipping under a grapple and driving a knee into its inner thigh. Not strength. Leverage. Efficiency. Brutality with surgical restraint. The crowd grew louder. Keltharn leaned forward, mouth twitching. The Zorketh warrior roared and lashed out, catching Darius in the ribs with a sweeping kick that sent him flying into a broken wall. Dust exploded. Raj stood halfway from his seat, eyes wide. Darius didn't stay down. He rose slowly, wiping blood from his mouth. The warrior charged again. But this time Darius was already moving, low, close, under the guard, twisting, using the momentum of his opponent to flip the massive body over his shoulder and slam it onto exposed steel piping. A crack echoed across the dome. Silence. The Zorketh didn't get up. Darius stood over him, chest heaving, eyes hard as iron. He didn't celebrate. He didn't gloat. He turned to the glass where Keltharn stood watching. And stared. Not with pride. With warning. The dome darkened. The match was over. That night, the council gathered again. The verdict was unanimous. Earth would be granted a permanent seat on the Biological Warfare Ethics Council. Its species catalog would be protected under galactic preservation law. No cloning. No harvesting. No unauthorized replication. Earth was not a zoo. It was a sovereign domain. Keltharn delivered no protest. He merely watched, quiet and still, as the council ratified the ruling. Raj sat beside Darius, exhausted but quietly triumphant. They came to laugh at us, he said. Now they flinch when they hear our name. Darius didn't smile. They don't fear us because of what we brought. They fear us because they finally understand what we are. And what's that? Darius glanced up at the biodome screen, now showing the tiger again, lying still in its sanctuary, eyes open, watching the camera as if it knew every move being made. We're the only species in the galaxy that learned how to live beside monsters, he said. And then chose to become one. He rose from his seat, walked to the observation deck, and stood beneath the night sky simulated above the cruiser. Far below, in the quiet undergrowth of artificial jungle, the tiger blinked. Then it vanished into the trees, silent as ever. Not running. Just waiting. Watching. Because Earth never sends its best first. It sends its warning. The sandstorm had settled. Smoke and blood hung in the alien air like vaporized iron. The arena was still trembling from the quake of two apex beings colliding. One crafted by nature's slow fury, the other forged in alien arrogance. But now silence reigned. Derek stood still in the center of the battlefield. His breath came in ragged bursts. Armor cracked. Ribs bruised. The alien warlord, Kranther, lay sprawled several meters away, twitching and snarling with each failed attempt to rise. His second heart had stopped. The tiger had seen to that. Beside Derek, Sabir crouched with a bloodied paw, sides heaving. Stripes slick with sweat and alien ichor. The crowd above, a swirling mixture of galactic races, watched without a sound. Not awe. Not disbelief. Something deeper. A shift. Derek turned slowly toward the High Council's chamber. The glass that separated them from the death pit shimmered, and for a moment he saw his reflection layered with Sabir's silhouette behind him. Man and beast. Predator and partner. The council had not expected him to live. Kranther was the pride of their warbred program, a titan engineered to make examples of primitive mammals. But something primitive had survived. Not the brute force. Not the sharpened claws. The will. Counselor Threx rose, his long fingers tapping the edge of his dais. Captain Rourke, he said, voice filtered through layers of static. You have dishonored the agreed limits of the arena. No man was to fight alongside the beast. Derek's voice was hoarse but steady. I didn't fight alongside him. I followed him. Somewhere above, a few scattered voices murmured. Some in their own languages. A few Earth dialects. Whispers of rebellion. You weaponized instinct, Threx snarled. You broke the chain of order. You invited chaos. Derek nodded slowly. We are chaos to you. Because we don't fit your boxes. You breed monsters in labs. We survive with bonds. That tiger didn't need programming to fight for me. He chose me. And I chose him. Counselor Zila, more reserved, tilted her scaled head. Even so, the terms were clear. Earth must forfeit its petition for sovereignty. Derek's expression changed. Calm left him like smoke through fingers. No. Earth stands free. You mocked our species. Our strength. You laughed when you saw a tiger. Until you saw what it could do. And what we could be together. A loud mechanical hiss echoed as the council's platform began to descend into the arena. They wanted to look down on him face to face. Typical. They still believed proximity gave them control. But Derek wasn't a diplomat anymore. When the platform landed, Kranther groaned on the dirt. One of his aides tried to rush to his side. Sabir growled lowly and the alien froze mid-step. Even broken, even bleeding, the tiger held command. His eyes locked on the counselors. Zila's voice was more measured. If we allow Earth into the council, it sets precedent. That instinct and defiance can overthrow order. It invites empires of unpredictability. Derek knelt beside Sabir. His hand, trembling, rested on the thick muscles between the tiger's shoulders. Sabir didn't flinch. You call us unpredictable, he said. But you invited this war. You built arenas like zoos, turned sentience into spectacle. We didn't start the fire. We just brought the wind. Threx raised his hand. Then Earth must be contained. Isolated. Its species quarantined. This escalation ends now. Derek stood. Try. A deep growl answered him, not from Sabir but from the arena walls. From the shadows of the transport corridors, multiple cages opened. Earth had come prepared. Not with warships. Not with nukes. But with apexes. Lions. Wolves. Panthers. Raptors. Each one conditioned not by abuse or chip but by old, quiet understanding. Each one bound not by leash but by respect. The arena gates failed first. The crowd gasped as animals emerged, not to attack, not to maul, but to take their place beside humans who walked silently behind them. The audience lost control. Shouts in dozens of dialects. Some cheered. Some panicked. But none denied what was happening. The myth of human weakness had shattered. Replaced by something older than weapons. Partnership. Derek turned his gaze back to the council. We're not just apex predators. We're something worse for your system. We're unpredictable alliances. Between brain and brawn. Between instinct and reason. You can't box that. You can't rule that. Zila did not speak. But her eyes flickered toward the other counselors. Some looked down. Others looked away. A few simply vanished from their thrones. Threx snarled, stepping forward. You will be purged. Every last one of you. Sabir moved. Faster than sound. His muscles surged and in a heartbeat he had closed the distance. Not to kill, but to leap over Threx's head, land behind him, and roar so loudly the glass chambers above shattered like dry ice. Threx froze, his whole body shaking. Sabir didn't attack. He didn't need to. Derek stepped beside him, voice calm now. Earth will not ask again. We are not seeking war. But we will not kneel. Not to you. Not to your monsters. Not to your fear. Silence fell again. Then a slow clap. From the far end of the council chamber, a new figure emerged, cloaked, ancient, barely distinguishable from the shadows. One of the first council founders. A species long thought silent. You remind me, the elder rasped, of what we once feared. Not the beast. Not the weapons. But the fire in the eyes of a cornered species. The moment it stops being prey. He looked at Sabir. Then at Derek. And then he bowed. The others followed. Not all. But enough. It wasn't a decree. It wasn't a treaty. It was recognition. Hours later, Earth's delegation left the arena not as participants but as equals. Sabir limped beside Derek, not leashed, not commanded, just there, silent and watching. Their ship waited on the platform, its wings like folded arms. As they rose toward the stars, Derek looked back one last time. Not at the aliens, but at the ground below, at where it all began. The moment the tiger moved and the universe stopped laughing.